Hey horror fans, welcome back to another episode of Terror Talk where I discuss creepy clips online. The original horror music that you hear in these videos is composed by me. Now imagine being able to save on everyday expenses and put that money towards your next horror movie outing, spooky decor, or haunted carnival excursion. Be sure to watch all the way through as I have something that will help feed your next horror adventures. Now let's get into it and have some fun.
Hopefully, I don't dox myself by writing this, but I'm a graffiti artist, or as some might see it, a delinquent. I'm fine with either title. Point is, I like to spray paint, and I'm decent with a can in my hand. The tagging community is atrocious. People aren't friendly, and there's no respect between artists. Because of this, I've adopted a much more inconspicuous routine. I like tagging up quieter spots where my art likely won't be seen by other artists.
Do you like doing graffiti? Let me know in the comments below. I'm not judging. And for one, I've never done that. I'm not really a delinquent type, but yeah, let me know if you're into that kind of thing in the comments. And I think it's kind of stupid that this guy is basically like bragging that, oh, I'm a delinquent, ho ho. But again, I won't judge if you comment that you do graffiti. I just like to ask these types of questions in order to get to know my viewers. But yeah, let me know in the comments below.
Or the general public. Old train lines are usually a good bet since the train cars are endless and new trains get decommissioned and left to rot on them all the time. My friend Lucas likes to come with me when I tag up, even though he's not big into the whole thing himself. I welcome the company. Some people don't understand the importance of a good friend, and I think that's sad. Most of my other friends don't seem to respect my time or interests as much as he seems to.
I will agree with that though, about a good friend. Good friends are hard to find these days, and if you feel like you have a good friend, or if you're lucky several good friends, like I feel like I have several good friends and I feel lucky for that, then definitely don't take that for granted.
Lucas and I found ourselves smoking on some nameless set of old tracks I found earlier that day on Google Maps. I'm not a big stoner myself, but he smokes a lot of weed, so I often indulge to match his vibe. It wasn't that late, maybe a little past 10 p.m. We finished a J and talked as we walked alongside the old, rusty freight train. Oddly enough, there wasn't a single tag on the entire train. Must have been recently moved here, I thought, excited that I'd get first dibs on such a good circus. I tossed Lucas a can for him to mess around with, and I started doing my own thing. About 5 minutes later, I finished my first tag. I admired it for a bit before moving to the next car. Then the next. About 15 minutes and 2 paint cans later, I had 3 decent tags up adjacent to one another, and I was pretty proud of myself for how they looked in combination with each other. Sorry in advance if this offends anyone, but I tend to discard my empty cans wherever they go dry. So I flung them back the way we had come, enjoying the satisfying clattering sound a ball bearing makes when bouncing around the inside of an empty can. I then caught up with Lucas, who had seemingly rolled and lit another joint, neglecting the paint I had given him. For context, the reason I'm not a big stoner is because I started getting unbearable anxiety highs much more frequently, maybe 90% of the time. In hindsight, smoking 2 J's with Lucas was a borderline detrimental decision. After all, we were doing something illegal, which was already pretty anxiety-inducing. I smoked the second joint anyway, confident that I'd be okay. As soon as the final sparks floated off the J, that's when we heard it. A muffled clang from somewhere behind us rang out into the night. The two of us froze and stared into the darkness. I could feel droplets of sweat forming around my neck as adrenaline began coursing through me. I couldn't tell if the sound had come from outside of the train or from inside one of the cars. It was hard.
Yeah, I feel like if you're already doing something illegal and hearing that kind of sound, that would just like over amplify paranoia, wouldn't it? Like, it would just get you so paranoid. And for me, I've never actually done weed, and I feel like that's kind of not too common for people to say that they've never done weed, but I've just never had a desire to do it, you know? But I feel like it would make me really paranoid. I feel like I would get pretty paranoid from that. But yeah, I feel like hearing that kind of sound already would just like make you feel super paranoid.
Hard to tell which option was worse. We waited for a full minute in silence. Nothing. That's when I whipped out my phone and recorded this video. What the fuck? As the video shows, whoever made that noise picked up one of my empty paint cans and threw it at us before chasing and shouting at us. You can't really see the paint can in the video, but I swear to you, that's what the first sound was. As we frantically made our escape, whoever was behind us yelled, "You better not trip, boy." A few seconds later, an actual gunshot sounded off behind us, almost causing Lucas to trip and fall. It startled me so much that my finger slipped off the record button on Snapchat and the video cut out. We bolted down the tracks until they intersected a main road and didn't stop running until we were a safe distance away. I don't think I've ever been more terrified in my entire life. It didn't help that I was stoned out of my mind. My hands were literally shaking. So were Lucas's. We found our way back to the car and drove home in silence. What was I supposed to do? Call the police? I was literally breaking the law. That wasn't an option. The story doesn't end there, though. I actually went back to those tracks a few weeks later, but this time during the day and equipped with my trusty Glock 17. To my surprise, the train was still there. Despite that, there was a pretty glaring difference this time around. In the 3 spots where my tags had previously been were now ugly blotches of red paint. Someone had deliberately covered my work. Quietly, I kept investigating and eventually came to a train car with its door wide open. I took a look inside, and it was bizarre. The train car was completely empty, except for a chair in the direct center and what looked like ropes and chains scattered about. Some of the ropes were wrapped around the legs of the chair, and others were just lying on the floor. The weirdest part was the smell, though. The whole car smelled like bleach. If you closed your eyes, you would have guessed you were in a cleaning supply closet. I can't overstate the smell, though. It literally smelled like the whole train car had been doused in bleach. I went to take a picture of the scene when I thought I heard a metal clang somewhere further down the train. I could have imagined it, but I wasn't taking any chances. That was enough for me. I was out of there as quickly as I had come. I've told so many people this story, and none of them could rationalize that psycho's actions in a way that makes sense. I doubt a homeless person would be able to get their hands on a gun, but I can't fathom why someone other than a homeless person would respond so aggressively, and why they decided to cover up my tags is another mystery. I think the most disturbing aspect of this whole thing was the chair in the middle of the train car. I really want to go back to those tracks just to take a picture of what I saw, but I haven't worked up the courage to. I have no idea if whoever was there that night was really shooting to kill us or just trying to scare us. But sometimes, late at night, when it's just me and my thoughts, I can still hear that shot ringing in my ears.
Yeah, that's pretty creepy that someone would chase after them like that. And I don't know, do you think it was some type of security guard or something? Or just some random guy that was there just kind of hanging out who happened to have a gun? Or do you think it was like a security guard or something? Because I'm not too sure. And what about that chair? Like, do you think that it was just for something basic? Like something basic for a train use kind of thing? Or do you think something more sinister was going on, like some type of torture going on? Or do you think it was just something more basic that it was being used for? I don't really know. This is kind of a weird one to me. But I do think that maybe someone was just kind of guarding the trains, but I don't know. I don't really know anything about trains or train stations or anything like that, or like an abandoned train. Like, why would there be a security guard at an abandoned train to begin with, is my thinking. So let me know in the comments below what you think, because I definitely think that this one is a little bit weird. But definitely if you have someone chasing you and screaming at you and basically saying you better not trip, that's basically like sort of a threat. And That would be terrifying to have anyone chase you like that and shoot out at you. Maybe not shoot at you, but give a warning shot is like scary enough. But yeah, I thought this was a good story, and be sure to check the pinned comment because I have something really cool for you that will help you start saving and making some more money for your next horror adventures and activities. So definitely be sure to check that, and I hope that you enjoyed my music and the commentary, and I will see you in the next video.